I told myself it was just for 10 minutes, but before I knew it, 2 or 3 hours would pass. Doing absolutely nothing productive. I'd end the night feeling empty, guilty, and even more tired than when I got home. Cut 2. You sitting on the couch, looking frustrated, sighing. The screen glows from the phone light. Voiceover. This became a habit I hated, but couldn't break. It felt comforting in the moment, but deep down, it was draining me. Transition. 2. Bright music. A new version of you walks into the room, puts the phone on silent, and places it face down on the table. Voiceover. Then I made a small but powerful change. I started putting my phone away for just 1 hour after getting home. No notifications, no scrolling. Cut 2. You sipping tea, sitting by a window, journaling, or reading a book. Clock shows 6:45 p.m. Voiceover. Instead, I gave myself space to breathe. I started reading, journaling, or just sitting in silence, something to help me reconnect with myself. Cut 2. Peaceful ambient shots. You stretching, lighting a candle, writing thoughts in a notebook. Voiceover. I realized I wasn't tired from work. I was overstimulated, and staring at my phone was making it worse. Cut 2. You holding your phone again, but now setting a 30-minute timer on it. Voiceover. Now, I give myself 30 minutes max of screen time when I get home. I use it mindfully, not as an escape. Cut 2. You smiling, closing your phone after the timer goes off, and moving on to something intentional. Cooking, planning your next day, or calling a friend. Voiceover. Evenings are no longer a blur of meaningless content. They're now a time to slow down, reflect, and recharge. Text on screen. Small habits. Big changes. Voiceover. Final words of Scene 1. Breaking the scroll trap was hard, but once I did it, everything started to change. One thing that changed everything for me was writing a tiny plan. For my evening, nothing complicated. Just a simple checklist of 3 or 4 things I wanted to do after work. Cut 2. You writing in a notebook, something like 20-minute walk, prep lunch for tomorrow, read 15 pages, light stretch, or meditation. Voiceover. Before this, my evenings felt random. I'd finish work, feel tired, and do whatever felt easiest, which was usually lying around doing nothing important. Cut 2. You looking lost or bored, switching between apps, or flipping through channels. Voiceover. But when I started writing a mini plan, I gave my brain a path to follow. It removed the guesswork, and most importantly, it gave my time a purpose. Cut 2. You checking things off the list one by one, smiling or feeling accomplished. Voiceover. The key here. I kept it realistic. I didn't try to pack my evening with productivity, just a few intentional things, enough to make me feel like the evening wasn't wasted. Visual. You finishing your walk, reading a book on the couch, then prepping lunch in the kitchen. Voiceover. This one little habit gave my evening structure, and it reminded me that even 1 or 2 small wins after work can completely shift how you feel. Cut 2. Close-up of the checklist again, all items checked off. You smile and close the notebook. Voiceover. Gentle tone. You don't need a big plan, just a mini one. Something that gently pulls you out of autopilot and back into your life. Text on screen. Evening mini plan equals clarity plus control. Voiceover. Closing line for Scene 2. Start with a pen and paper. You'll be surprised how much power a tiny list holds. I used to think I needed to do something big to feel better. After work, go to the gym, hit a productivity goal, finish a course. But honestly, all I really needed was a walk. Cut 2. Peaceful shots of you walking through a quiet street, a park, or even just around your block. Sunset in the background. Voiceover. At first, I told myself I'd walk for just 10 minutes. That's it. No pressure, no goals, just movement. Cut 2. You breathing deeply, looking around, maybe listening to a podcast or just enjoying the moment. Voiceover. The first few evenings felt strange. My mind was still racing with work thoughts. But then something started to shift. Visual slow-motion shots of trees, the sky changing colors, your face softening with a small smile. Voiceover. My thoughts became lighter. I started noticing the world around me again, the colors of the sky, the sound of my steps, the calm I had been missing all day. Cut 2. You walking past people, smiling politely, feeling present and grounded. Voiceover. That walk became a ritual, a reset. It created a space between my work life and my personal life, like a mental doorway I could walk through. Visual. You return home with a more relaxed, refreshed expression. You pour a glass of water, maybe sit down and journal. Voiceover. And it wasn't just about fitness, it was about peace, about clearing the noise before I stepped into the rest of my evening. Text on screen. A 10-minute walk. A total shift in mindset. Voiceover. Soft and reflective. Sometimes we wait for motivation or energy to do big things, but often it's the smallest habits, like a walk, that make the biggest difference. Cut 2. Final shot of you sitting calmly at home, smiling to yourself. Voiceover. Closing line for Scene 3. That walk changed everything, not because it solved all my problems, but because it brought me back to myself. This was me, every night. glued to my phone, switching between apps I didn't even care about. I'd tell myself, just 10 more minutes, but it always turned into hours. Cut 2. You lying in bed still on your phone, eyes tired. Clock now shows 11:23 p.m. Voiceover, and the worst part, I thought I was relaxing. But in reality, I was overstimulating my brain and making it harder to actually unwind. Transition.com, shift in lighting. You take a deep breath, put the phone in a drawer, and walk away. Voiceover. So I made a rule. No screens after 9 p.m. No phone, no laptop, no TV. That last hour of my day became a no-screen zone, and that one habit changed my nights completely. Cut 2. You lighting a candle, turning on a warm lamp, and sitting with a journal or book. Peaceful mood. Voiceover. Instead of staring at a screen, I started doing things that actually helped me wind down, like journaling, reading, or simply sitting in silence. Visual close-up of your hand, writing in a notebook. A cozy atmosphere, maybe a hot drink beside you. Voiceover. I didn't need to be productive. I just needed to be present. That 1 hour felt like time I finally got back for myself. Cut 2. You doing light stretches, listening to soft music, or prepping your bed with intention. Voiceover. The no-screen hour helped my body and mind disconnect from the constant noise. It made falling asleep easier, and even improved the quality of my sleep. Visual. You laying in bed, calm and at peace. Phone is on Do Not Disturb mode, placed across the room. Voiceover. The best part, I started waking up without that mental fog, because I wasn't overstimulated the night before. Text on screen. Protect your peace. 1 hour at a time. Voiceover soft, reflective. It's easy to waste hours scrolling and call it rest. But real rest is quiet. Real rest is still. And sometimes, it starts by simply putting the phone away. Cut 2. You turning off the light, smiling, and going to sleep peacefully. Voiceover. Final line of scene 4. Create a no-screen zone, and watch your evenings slowly become your sanctuary. There was a point where every evening felt like a repeat of the last, mindless, dull, and disconnected. I realized I had stopped doing things that actually made me feel alive. Cut 2. You flipping through a notebook, looking at old drawings, photos, or hobby tools, something personal. Voiceover. So I made a promise to myself. Every evening, I would do one thing just for me, not for work, not for anyone else, just for my own joy. Cut 2. You doing something creative or calming, painting, journaling, playing a musical instrument, dancing in your room, baking something simple. Voiceover. Some nights, it's painting. Other nights, I'll play music, stretch, or cook something from scratch. The activity doesn't matter. What matters is that it's mine. Visual close-up of your hands while painting, mixing ingredients, or writing. Slow, gentle pacing. Voiceover. It's not about being productive. It's about reconnecting with who I am beyond the job, the tasks, the routine. These little moments remind me that I'm a person, not just a worker. Cut 2. You smiling naturally while in the middle of the activity. You're clearly enjoying it. No pressure, no performance. Voiceover. Even 15 to 20 minutes of doing something I love makes the evening feel meaningful. It fills the space where boredom or mindless habits used to live. Visual. You setting the mood, maybe dim lights, a candle, soft music in the background. Voiceover. The truth is, our free time is still our life, and we owe it to ourselves to fill it with things that light us up, even in small ways. Text on screen. One small act of joy. Every evening. Voiceover closing softly. So ask yourself, what's one thing you can do tonight just for you? And then, actually do it. That's where your evening begins to heal. Cut 2. You closing your notebook or cleaning up happily, looking at peace.